Hi everyone. So Target reported their earnings today, and while their performance met expectations, it was a pretty tough quarter. Their sales fell 0.9%, and their comparable store sales fell 1.9%, which was better than the 3% decline expected. Their gross margin fell to 29%, down from 30% a year ago, and their operating income in the quarter fell a whopping 19.4%. So if these results are better than expectations, then why is their stock price tanking again today? My 2 cents is that it has to do with leadership. So also announced today was that current CEO Brian Cornell would be stepping down and that current COO Michael Fidelki would be taking over at the helm. So typically, a change in leadership is seen as a very good thing, and especially with a company like Target that has had some really massive missteps recently and has a stock price that has dropped 64% in the last 4 years. But Fidelki is best known for his focus on cost-cutting and tech-driven merchandising. And it appears that the market might have questions about his ability to improve brand identity and drive innovation. And without those two things, it will be hard for Target to return to quality growth because consumer brands cannot cut their way or automate their way to prosperity. Let me know your thoughts.
Everything is about to get more expensive in just 10 days. Let's talk about it. President Trump signed an executive order back in July that essentially said by August 29th, the de minimis rule is going to be exempted. You've probably never heard of this rule, the de minimis rule, but it essentially allows folks to be able to import goods and items into the United States under $800. So for example, your orders from Temu, from Shein, the reason why they are not subject to those high costs is because of this de minimis rule. This means that goods coming in and out of the country that are under $800 will now be subjected to tariff taxes, which will essentially make the cost of those goods go through the roof. A pair of $30 slippers from China, now $45. And it's not just the prices, you'll also see longer wait times and fewer online options that are willing to ship to the United States with the de minimis rule being completely exempted and nullified. Oh, and returns, say that you don't like the product that you buy or it's not the right size and need to send it back. Those costs are also going to go once again through the roof. So yeah, that Shein haul, the Temu haul, or perhaps the skincare that you love to purchase from overseas is now going to be a bit more expensive and not just marginally, significantly so. Now, that's all I have for you guys today, but feel free to follow me here on Politics with NJ to discuss more topics as this situation materializes, and I hope to see you guys next time. Bye-bye.
We finally know what's going to happen with the revenue that is being generated by tariffs, and actually, this is something that I think we all can agree on. Over the past month, I've been posting content about an idea floating around about a tariff stimulus check that would go to U.S. citizens, and this check would come from the revenue being generated by the tariffs. Well, now we have an idea if that's actually going to happen or not. Now, if you don't know, the tariffs right now are generating about $30 billion worth of revenue month over month, meaning that these tariffs for the year are going to be in the hundreds of billions of dollars if they continue at the rate that they are. So there's a lot of different possibilities that the government has with what they can do with the money being generated, but the one person that's in control of a huge chunk of this revenue just told us what exactly is going to happen. And that one person is Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, and here's what he had to say. Scott Bessent came out yesterday and said that U.S. tariff revenues are going to rise substantially because new tariffs are being put into place. And with that money, it's going to be focused on reducing the national debt. So now we have Doge who came in to cut government spending, and now we have tariff revenue going toward paying down the national debt. So it seems like the tariff revenue stimulus checks aren't going to happen, but using the tariff revenue to pay down the national debt is going to happen. But I want to hear from you guys. Do you think that this is a win, or would you rather just have that $600 in your pocket so that you could use it how you want to? Let me know in the comments below.
What's up, America? Home sales in America collapsing, and I could not be happier. That's right, home sales in the United States now are the worst they've been in 10 full years. And it's expected to get much worse because houses are an average of $512,000. The fuck is wrong with you? So sorry, companies that are buying up a bunch of homes and purposely keeping them off the market to drive up prices. I want to see you go out of business. this. As a matter of fact, when you do finally go out of business, I'm gonna dance on your grave and piss on the fucking ashes. Yes, that's right. You don't deserve to operate here in the United States. Blackstone and other companies that have been buying thousands of single-family homes and purposely keeping them off the market to increase costs because there's no supply. Yeah, fuck you, eat a dick. I hope home sales collapse to the worst in American history. I hope it's the worst in recorded history. I want it to be forced upon you to cut the prices of houses in half. I want it forced on you. And then I want to see you go out of business after it's forced and a company that doesn't suck asshole take over and try again. Fuck you, eat a dick. I hope the market crashes so hard it's double as bad as it was during the Great Recession, which of course, as you know, wouldn't even existed without people profiteering like they are now.
Your wallet is about to feel this. Pay attention. Here's your U.S. economy update. First up, inflation just jumped to 2.7% in June. That's the highest since February. And guess what's driving it? Trump's tariffs starting to show up at the checkout. Household items up 1%. Appliances jumped nearly 2%. And even clothes got more expensive after months of falling prices. Now, some things actually fell. Prices on cars, for example, but the tariff impact is becoming real for shoppers. But wait, there's more. Trump just announced a 30% tariff on the EU and Mexico starting August 1st. That's 30% on everything from European wine to Mexican avocados. He's also targeting 21 other countries with tariffs between 20 and 40%. We're talking about the Philippines, Japan, South Korea. Now, the EU isn't taking this lying down. They've got $100 billion worth of American goods ready to hit with their own tariffs. Think bourbon prices going up, wine getting expensive, and jobs disappearing on both sides of the Atlantic. So the question everyone is asking is, will Europe actually pull the trigger, or will they keep negotiating? So the bottom line here is your grocery bill is about to get hit from multiple angles. Higher prices on imports, retaliatory tariffs on exports, and inflation already climbing. Many companies had stockpiled goods this spring to delay the price hikes that they would pass on to you, but that buffer zone is running out. Trump says he's got deals with some of these countries, but so far the trade wars are heating up faster than they are cooling down. So what are you doing about it? Are you saving? Are you spending? Are you stocking up on items you know you'll need? Drop your thoughts and comments below and follow me for more news that actually impacts your life. I'm Sue O'Connell, a political commentator and analyst with NBC 10 Boston.
This just in, Sony will be raising the price of PlayStations by $50, citing challenging economic conditions. This is directly related to tariffs that have made things more expensive. Sony can no longer make PlayStations for the same price. They have to be more expensive because it's become more expensive for Sony to manufacture PlayStations. The Sony PlayStation will be going up $50. Additionally, this comes at the same time as Nintendo Switch becomes more expensive. And by the way, folks, we should stop calling it Trump's tariffs. This is Trump's tax. This is Trump's tax on the American people. Now American families will have to pay $50 more to buy video game consoles for their loved ones, for friends. This is real convenient considering the holiday season is surely approaching around the corner. Bad news for Trump, bad news for the American people. By the way, what has gotten more affordable? I don't think anything's gotten more affordable in this economy. And housing, still no housing plan. Healthcare, still no healthcare plan. But it's cool to see that everything's getting more expensive. I guess if you live in the upside down, which is called MAGA.
I don't know. I shared some sort of news or article about it, and my dad, of course, was like, well, you know, it's not as bad as people seem to think, you know, like the tariffs are going to help. They're going to bring in money. The tariffs are, you know, all the defensive, conservative talking points saying that the tariffs would be good. And to those like I wouldn't even try to argue. I wouldn't respond. I'd be like, okay, sure. But here's the kicker. So recently, right, the Target CEO steps down because of the months-long and continuing boycotts against how they undid their DEI initiatives. I sent that to my parents, and I was just like, wow, after 11 years, wow, crazy. You know, not really making it a political thing at all, just being like, wow, look at this. And my dad, of all people, responded first, rather quickly, I might add, and was like, yeah, I think that this is, sort of the beginning of, how the tariffs are going to affect retail. You're seeing retailers not do well, except for Costco. He did mention Costco. And that, tariffs equal taxes. And this is what got me, y'all. He said, quote, I don't think Trump understands that. And like I said at the beginning of this video, I know this isn't like crazy, news, but to me, that sent off like flashing green lights, like good signs. Because I was like, here's a man who prides himself on being not involved, not taking a side. I see, like I said, we all know this type of person. And he is finally using that logical part of his brain to be like, wait a damn minute. And of course, I'm not going to expect some sort of, you were right, remember when I said the other thing months ago? I'm not going to expect that. Like all the other conservatives, all of MAGA, they're going to pretend that they always thought this, that they were always on, this side of thinking, logically. Which, as frustrating as that is, I'm not so much hung up or concerned with like, tell me I was right. It's more so just like the glee of being like, you get it. You get it. You get it. And you're saying out loud that you get it. Because to me, that just means that he's either like paying more attention or there's more conversation with like his main group of straight white men peers that are talking about this. There's all these things coming to my mind of like, oh my God, like what made you change? Because it wasn't me. It wasn't anything I said. So yeah, I mean, it seems like everything, big picture wise, is inevitably moving towards the conclusion that we know it's going to come to. There's something so uplifting, I guess is the right word, to see these people who were, our adversaries or whatever, helping the other side come around. And what do you guys think?
$6.15 fucking cents for a half a pound of Greek hot sweet peppers. What the hell? Is this what you voted for? The highest fucking food cost I've ever seen in my entire life? $9 for some damn pizza sauce. $10 fucking for a small bag of Starbucks coffee. Oh my God. Got a dang sweet treat for the dog. $20. Sweet treat for the dog. Sorry. $20. I guess you're gonna have to just find me fucking stinking. Cause look at that. Clearance, $8.39. I'm telling you right now, we're going to be paying $100,000 for a loaf of bread before this administration is over. The same administration that told us that on day one energy prices would come down, that the war in the Ukraine would be over, that the price of gas and food and it's all going to be a miracle. And if you go on their Instagram page right now, they're telling you it is a miracle. Only we can see, our wallets know.
Massive reciprocal tariffs, and for months, economists have been warning because of these tariffs, the sky was going to fall and the economy was going to tank, but we haven't seen it yet. Why? We're going to get into it in this video, and I want to start this by saying President Trump is absolutely correct. Under his new tariff policy, the United States has absolutely brought in unprecedented levels of tariff revenue. As of July 2025, the Treasury Department reported Trump's tariffs this year alone have brought in more than $150 billion. And these new reciprocal tariffs that took effect today are only going to increase that number. But as I have been reporting since last year, that money generally is coming from your pocket and the pockets of American businesses, because tariffs are not paid for by the foreign country. Tariffs are paid for by the U.S. importer who brings those foreign goods into the United States. The U.S. importer is the one who writes the check at the port of entry. Now, I want to stop right there, because what happens next is one of the reasons why some of you have not been feeling the full brunt of these Trump tariffs. See, it's up to the American importer, once they bring that item into the United States, what to do with that tariff cost that they have just paid. They have several choices. One, they could pay the tariff, and whatever cost they paid, they simply add it to the price you pay for that item. Two, they could say, oh, the tariff is not that expensive, so instead of turning off my customers by raising prices, I'll just eat that tariff cost in full or in part and cut into my own profit margin. Or three, they can say to the foreign country where they're getting that import, hey, if you want me to keep ordering from you, I need you to split this tariff cost with me. just last week, the chairman of the Federal Reserve explained what choices those American importers are making.
The evidence seems to be mostly not paid only to a small extent through exporters lowering their price. And companies or retailers, sort of people who are upstream, institutions that are upstream from the consumer, are paying most of this for now.
You heard him. He said the evidence the Federal Reserve has right now shows those foreign countries are not playing ball. They mostly have not been paying the cost of these tariffs. Instead, American importers and American companies have been eating the bulk of that tariff cost. Not all of it, but most of it. And they're generally not passing the bulk of that tariff cost on to you. But did you notice the chairman said that's what's happening for now? He said that because American companies have given every indication to the Federal Reserve that they are absolutely going to be passing more of these tariff costs onto you.
Consumers it's starting to show up in consumer prices, as you know, in the June report. And I'll say again, they may be less than people estimate or more than people estimate. They're not going to be zero. Consumers will pay some of this.
But why now? If they've been eating most of the tariff cost up until now, why would they all of a sudden start passing more of it onto me, the consumer? For a few reasons. One, because these high tariffs that took effect today, like 50% on imports from India and Brazil, 19% on imports from the Philippines and Thailand, and 20% on imports from Vietnam, are just too high. Think logically. You know how American businesses work. Do you really think, out of the kindness of their heart, that they're going to continue to eat the cost of these tariffs and cut into their own bottom line, especially at 50% or 20%? Hell, they've been passing some of the tariff costs onto you because 10 or 15% was cutting too much into their bottom line. The other reason why they're ready to start passing more of these tariff costs onto you is because up until today, Trump has been so inconsistent with these tariffs. One day they're on, the next day they're off, and that injects uncertainty into the market. And when there's uncertainty, businesses usually just stop, and they don't make any sudden movements. But now that these tariff rates are in place and they know the deal, several major U.S. retailers like Walmart, Nike, Best Buy, Adidas, Stanley, Black & Decker, Procter & Gamble, Hasbro, and General Mills, among many others, have said they cannot and will not eat these tariffs anymore, and they will absolutely be increasing the price you pay for clothes, shoes, electronics, and food. How much more? Well, the Yale Budget Lab estimates in the short term, every American household will be paying $2,400 more as a result of these Trump tariffs. And when it comes to a new car, they estimate in the short term, the cost will increase $6,000. They also have this chart, which lists all kinds of goods to show you how much more you'll be paying for certain items. They say, as of today, American consumers are going to be facing an effective tariff rate of 18.6%. That is the highest rate that we have seen since 1933. That was right in the middle of the Great Depression, friends. The last reason I want to touch on for why you aren't feeling these tariffs yet is that it takes a few months once the tariff rate is actually set to work its way through the supply chain and ultimately trickle down.
Grocery prices remain high, and tariffs could make it worse. People aren't just struggling, they're angry. They're sick and tired of a system that takes and takes without giving anything in return. My message is simple. We need to make an America that's affordable for all Americans, and that starts by electing accountable leaders. Leaders who believe hardworking Americans deserve great benefits and a great life. Medicare for all, living wages, guaranteed family leave, real support to small businesses, affordable education and job programs. All these things are possible, and I'm not the only one saying it. I'm Dylan Blaha, and I'm running for Congress in Illinois' 13th district. And I'm working directly with real experts to translate our vision of a brighter future into real policy, which is why I'm excited to welcome our economic policy advisor, Shiona, to the team.
Hi, I'm Shiona. I'm an economist and founder of Vogue Economics. Dylan's policies aren't just a pipe dream. I've run the numbers and the data backs them up. Every chart, every trend, every dollar tells the same story. The system is failing working people. Unlike other industry experts, I'm not here to make empty promises. I'm here to deliver real change with complete transparency and real data-driven decisions.
We'll share our plans, we'll listen, we'll adjust. We're here to deliver real change, and together, we'll build an America that works for everyone, not just the wealthy few.
While Trump is posting on Truth Social that the stocks are doing great, meaning the stocks where he's engaging in insider trading along with the other Republicans, and I'm sure Democrats as well. You have GM and Ford that just announced that all of their profits for this quarter have been wiped out. We're talking in the billions of dollars because of tariffs. Detroit Axle, which is a supplier to the big three, is suing the Trump administration because the tariffs are about to have them shut down. And they're saying it's going to cause a loss, a permanent job loss of 125 jobs. This is Trump's economy, but just keep believing his True Social posts, guys. MAGA.
Are we about to get stimulus checks courtesy of the Trump tariffs? Well, maybe, because this guy, who probably looks familiar to you, just introduced a bill to Congress that would make it so that we get a cut of that sweet, sweet tariff revenue. Now, we're going to take a look at this bill, what's in it, who qualifies, and how much you could be getting because of the tariffs. But before we do, my name is Rick. I hope you turn daily news into daily profits. If that's something you're interested in, make sure you follow this page. Now, this is the headline that broke yesterday. It says, tariff stimulus checks coming. A new proposal seeks tax rebates for U.S. workers. And it goes on to say that the latest from Capitol Hill is that millions of people in the U.S. could receive fresh stimulus checks funded through revenue collected by President Trump's tariffs on imported goods. Now, the name of the bill is called the American Worker Rebate Act, and it was introduced by Senator Hawley, who said, my bill would enable diligent Americans to reap the benefits from wealth generated by Trump's tariffs returning to our nation. Now, so far, if you're unaware, Trump's tariffs have generated $113 billion worth of revenue for the United States. So this bill basically says, hey, if we're going to be receiving revenue from the work that Americans did, why not give the money back to Americans? Now, let's talk about who would qualify if this passes and how much we would be getting. So we can see that the eligibility for the tariff stimulus checks would depend on income. So individuals earning under $75,000 annually, head of households under $112,500, and couples filing jointly under $150,000 would be eligible. Above those thresholds, rebate amounts would decrease by 5% for each dollar over the limits, phasing out entirely for higher earners. The bill would exclude non-resident aliens and dependents claimed on another's tax returns, estates, and trusts. Now, all of this sounds dope and everything, but how much are we really talking about here? Well, according to the report, the bill would reportedly provide at least $600 per adult and dependent child, meaning a family of 4 could receive a minimum of $2,400 in rebates. The $600 would be a guaranteed minimum per eligible person, but if tariff revenues exceed projections, payments could increase proportionately. So here's my feelings on all this. As cool as this is and as great as this would be for Americans, I just don't see this happening. Getting Congress to agree on this and actually vote on it to pass it through is going to be next to impossible because you have two sides of the aisle that pretty much don't want to agree on anything. So although this is a pretty cool bill, I just don't see it happening. But let me know what you guys think. Do you think that this bill will pass and get through Congress and then hit President Trump's desk? Or do you think there's no shot? I don't even know why he introduced this. It's a waste of time. Let me know in the comments below.
So earlier I posted about how the Trump tariffs are actually saving America's credit rating. And then I saw this comment. Tariffs are just a tax on the consumer. Importers pay, then pass down the costs. That's the narrative we've all been told, but the actual data under President Trump tells a very different story. A study from the White House Council of Economic Advisors found that prices for imported goods have actually declined faster than overall goods since tariffs went into effect. And the New York Fed confirmed inflation expectations are back to pre-tariff levels. Inflation is stable at just 1.9%, wages are climbing, and everyday prices are easing. Meanwhile, tariff revenue has exploded, already $150 billion this year and projected to top $300 billion by the year's end. That money goes straight into the U.S. Treasury, not out of your wallet or your paycheck. And look at what's happening on the ground. GE Appliances, $3 billion investment, 1,000 jobs onshored. Century Aluminum, $50 million expansion, 100 new jobs. U.S. Steel announced a $1 billion upgrade to American mills. Nucor Steel investing over $650 million to expand operations. Taiwan building a $40 million semiconductor hub in Arizona, the largest foreign direct investment in U.S. history. Toyota and Mazda, a $1.6 billion plant in Alabama, creating 4,000 jobs. Foxconn, billions invested in Wisconsin, bringing high-tech manufacturing stateside. This is the ripple effect of tariffs. Instead of outsourcing jobs and production, companies are planting their flag here in America. So no, tariffs under Trump aren't crushing consumers. They're fueling record revenue, rebuilding American industry, and creating thousands of good jobs here at home. Comment about that.